Hi everyone, Martin here from martinsmayhem.co.uk. I hope you're all well. Today I'm going to be showing you this little card that I made here. So originally I wasn't going to make a video tutorial. However, I thought why not just jump on and show you how I created it. So let's get started. I am using the Ray of Lights or the Ray of Light stamp set, which is background stamp, and the Sending Smiles, just for the sentiment, which I'm going to use is a note of thanks. Let's move this over the way. So you're going to want to start with a piece of very vanilla cardstock. So I don't use very vanilla very often. I'm very much a basic white kind of guy, but it's cute and it has its uses. I do like to ink blend onto very vanilla, just because, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. It's very rich and it gives a rich colour to our final piece. So what I'm doing is I'm just cutting a card base, which is standard UK C6. You can see there. Try to make sure it's straight, Martin. Reinforce. What I'm also going to do is, using the other piece, I'm just going to cut my matte layer. So I always do a matte layer the same colour, like 50% of the time. I'm going to say 90% of the time. So I'm going to cut at 13.8 and take off a centimetre, so 9.5 that side, and that just creates my matte layer. So to start with, let's do some inker. So the Ray of Lights. So this, as I said, it's a background stamp. It's gorgeous. It's cute. All that jazz. I think it's one of my favourites from the annual catalogue. I'm going to grab some Sahara Sand ink, and because I want it really subtle in the background, I'm going to ink blend the ink on. So I'm going to start in the centre and just blend it out to the edges, like so. The only issue is having the fingers in the way. Add a little bit more. Try to get the corners without putting your fingers in it. Like so. Now, it doesn't look like there's any ink on there, and that's what we want. We don't want any kind of motion. And you know what, I thought I was so ready for this, but I'm not. Let's grab. It's a good job I don't have a big craft room and you can hear me from literally everywhere in the room. In fact, I think there's a bit of an echo, which isn't good. So your matte layer, you're going to pop it on, getting the tops and the bottoms in place, lay that down. I'm going to grab, he says, one-handed, a piece of scratch paper and just give that a gentle rub on the back. And now look at the placing. So I want that kind of centre point as close as possible to the middle. So that's a little bit darker than what I would have liked, but you know, not every card is going to be the same, which is why it's individual. I'm gonna have a drink because that frog is still in my throat. I wish the little thing would get out. There we go. Hopefully that's better. So now that's done, we can work on our focus point, which is this kind of circle landscape element. So let's bring in the cotton emboss machine. Roll this through. Now with very vanilla cardstock, so I'm just going to use some scraps. It says, which mounting for them, you're going to take, oh, broke my chair as well, the largest circle from the layering circle. I'm going to take the smallest, and that's it for now. You are going to want to cut this shape from the Majestic mountain dies 3 times, which I've already gone ahead and done just to save time, but you'll get the gist. You'll know how to die cut. If not, you have a die, you have some card, you run it through a machine that applies pressure and it cuts that shape out. So yeah, pop your circles out. Just gonna pop that back through. You are going to want 2 large circles as well. So with your first circle, you're going to lay that down and you're going to grab that Majestic Mountains die and you're just going to find where you are wanting to put kind of the first mountain scape. Now, there's no easy way to say it, just work off your eye. Remember, you don't want it too low down because then you're not going to have enough room for all your other layers. But you also don't want it too high up that it's kind of curving too round. So I'm going to go roughly a hard decision, just in case you didn't know. Let's just go there. And you're going to put your final plate on. Now when you come to cut in, you only want to slightly apply pressure to that first cut. So you can feel it go in, roll it out. And that should have cut it. No, it's fine. I knew this would happen if I did this. Do a video, it all goes wrong. Just run that back through. And if it does go wrong, I've just slotted it back into them cut lines. And it cut it perfectly the second time, which is good. So there you have our first kind of mountain. Now, if you can think of a use of this thing, good for you. Let's just put this away. We will need that again later. So we have our first mountain scape. As I said, you're going to need another 3 of the die cut. So I just die cutted that shape 3 times. I did say you're going to need another large circle, which we'll come back to, and the smaller circle. So let's do some ink blending first. I'm mixing up how I'm necessarily working with this. This isn't kind of the order that I worked in this project, just because nothing ever goes to plan, does it? Let's be real. So I'm going to start with a little bit of Sahara sand. And the little circle, I'm just going to ink blend onto that. Like so. Expect to get messy fingers. Stop crafting unless you get messy. So there's the little kind of moon / sun, whatever you want to call it. I posted on my blog that it was actually saffron that I used, but it was actually pale papaya. And that's going to be the colour of our main kind of background piece, which I can't have. This one here. So I'm just going to ink that up, and I'm just going to apply that to the tips. But you're going to want to bring it down ever so slightly. Okay. Like so. He says he now can't close the ink pad. There we go. Next up is Calypso Coral. So just choose one of your die cut elements. Calypso Coral. Now, these are normally colours that I don't necessarily use. And it's such a shame because they're such gorgeous, rich colours. And I'm just going to ink blend over the top. Like so. Okay, so I'm not going to use this whole strip, but by ink blending it all, it gives me room to kind of play with. He says. Next up is Occasion Craze. Now, I love Occasion Craze. I think it's such a fun colour. I'm going to use the same blender brush because Calypso Coral and Occasion Craze are basically the same colour, just one's slightly darker. So I'm going to bring that in and bring that down. Like so. So I hope you can kind of see this starting to come together. Such a cute way to make an impact. And any excuse to ink blend and I am there, especially with our fabulous blending brushes. I love them. So Rich Raspberry next. He says sticking his finger in it. Ink that up and pop that down. Now what I love is kind of the escalation of colour. So we've gone from kind of yellowish tones down to, I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. Yellowish tones to kind of coral and kind of like burnt, I was going to say like an auburn kind of autumnal colour in Occasion. And then finally with the Night Navy, which is going to be shortly. But before we do that, I'm going to stick these together. So I have got a wipe just to pick up some of that ink. He says. So we're going to go Pale Papaya onto, he says, if he had a Tombow that works. Onto Calypso Coral. And all I'm doing is literally just lining this up to where I like it best. No, I don't want too much of that edge to show, but I also don't want it to be too symmetrical or too high up. And once you're happy with it, pop it down. It'll do. You can faff all day if you wanted to. Once that's done, you're going to go on to your Occasion Craze. Now I'm just doing a line of ink of liquid glue even on the back, and I'm just staggering those mountains like so. Rich Raz next. Let's perhaps do it over here. So we have a slight difference. Okay, wonder if I can move this all down ever so slightly. Just so we can get some more of that Pale Papaya. And this is why the liquid glue is fab, because we can play around with it a little bit more. So I'm happy with that now. I'm going to leave it as it is. You might want to dry, wait until it's dry so you don't get glue everywhere. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to crack on. And I'm going to work from the back, and the reason why is I'm going to use this, the top blade, as a guide to that circle. Now, of course, you could always die cut these shapes again if you wanted to. I get that. But what I like is the freedom of movement. So I'm just going to work around. And now in some places there is 3 layers of cardstock. So it's going to be quite hefty. But if you're delicate with it and gentle, you can get that kind of shape, which is really fun. So these bits can go in the bin, which I'm going to do straight away before I get glue everywhere. And then with your final circle, in the Majestic Mountain dies is this kind of tree Scape. I'm going to stick it with Scape. And then that's just going to be your final kind of overhaul. And the reason why you leave this to last is because you're going to use your second large circle to cut that shape out. And now that's going to be perfect just to finish off the bottom. So if there was any nicks or anything here, it's going to be hidden, all right? And I learned because I tried to record this before and I got it wrong. So I can lay this over the top like so, and I can just work out roughly where I'm going to need to die cut. So if I say like that is going to look good, so let's quickly move everything out the way. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Bring in our cutting machine. Pop that down. Like so. Happy with that. He says, yeah, it'll do. As I said, you can mess all day trying to get perfection, but really just go for it. And once that shape's and die cut, and if it does go wrong, you've always got this half. You can do something else with. Once that's die cut, that's just going to fit on like so, and you can line that circle up perfectly. And it's a bit big. We're going to work with it. So I'm going to ink blend. Now I don't want any fingers kind of left on this. So again, thought I was organising that. I'm going to grab a post-it note from my office desk. Like so. So a post-it note has a rim, like a little slick of, I don't know, low-tech adhesive. So I'm going to pop my shape onto there because I want it to follow the same gradient of ink. So I got my Night of Navy, ink that up, and I'm just going to bring that down over the very vanilla. Now I want this fully saturated. I still want that gradient of colour, but I want that full saturation. It says, and the best bit is you can just see the tone of the colour come through. You know, I've got a lot of ink there. Let's pick some of that up. Okay, and now this colour's only going to deepen once it's dry. So if I take the back off, that's our Night of Navy piece. Now, I really need to clean this. You can see the blue, I bet. Oh, I just got blue all over my desk. Pick that up. Lovely. So this is going to be adhered onto it with some dimensionals. So I'm just gonna use mini ones just so I can get a better coverage. I want one up there as well. So let's just pop this on. Like so. And then it's just lining it up with the bottom. And pressing it into into place, like so. Easy peasy. Okay, so onto our layering pieces. I'm going to pop some dimensionals onto our matte layer. I'm going to use the bigger ones just because it's a bigger surface. 1, 2, 3, and a 4, 5, and a 6. I'm going to do 7 though because I like it to be very secure. I'm going to grab the dimensionals off the back. He says, got no nails. Okay, pop that onto our card base. No, I'm not. I've got ink all over my fingers. So let's pop it on this side because there's a smudge on the back. I'm just going to trim down the base a little bit. Just rub a smidge off the bottom. It says, made a right pig's ear of that. It's better. Let's tidy it up. You're going to put your little circle with the Sahara Sand ink on just over where you can kind of see the accent space there. Your mountainscape and trees are going to go onto some dimensionals. And that's going to sit over the top like so. He says he can't see if it's straight. There you go. Push that down. And now kind of with the sentiment, so I said we use, where is it? The Sending Smiles, which I love this stamp set because of the sentiments. I love also the florals and the coordinated dies. They're fab. But I love these simple sentiments. So for this card, I just used a note of thanks. I was actually going to do Sunshine to Brighten Your Day. However, I felt like this card was a bit too, I don't know, the colours aren't particularly bright, if that makes sense, or cheery. They're very bright because of the very vanilla, but nevertheless, I use a code of thanks. It's a good sentiment. So this is a strip of very vanilla. It's about 8 mils deep. Vanilla stamp in Sahara Sand. So Sahara Sand is a cute colour, and I know I'm not going to stamp it straight or stamp it well, which I didn't do that bad. I hate stamping on camera because I don't want to get my fat head in the shot. That's actually okay, but this one's better. So imagine I've just snipped that down, made it tidy. That's going to pop over our treescape like so. So let's put some mini dimensionals on the back. Like so. Already took the backs off. Pop them on. So I'm going to need another mini dimensional. Pop that on that one. Like so. And then the final touches is just to add these little gold sequins. And these are from the Every Fancy Sequin set. So just choose any of the 3 colours because they all have the gold in. And I'm just going to empty some into the lid by just sprinkling them out. And then it's just a matter of adding some dobs of adhesive. One there and one up there. So that's where I know that I want to place the sequins. And it's as simple as grabbing a Take a Pic tool, which is my favourite all-time tool. He says still having inky fingers, not wanting to touch the card that he's just spent some time making, popping them into place. Like so. And there you have it. So you're going to have to wait for that to dry. That's the worst bit, isn't it? But there you have it. He says trying to make them look pretty. If I just zoom in. So I hope you enjoyed today's card. If you have any questions, please pop them in the description bar below and I'll be happy to answer them. A link to my website with the full supply details and other fun facts about this card, as in where I was inspired by, etc, all over on my blog. Full supply list is available in the description below with links to my online store. Any help in purchasing from me is appreciated. It helps me to keep doing this. Alright then guys, I will speak to you later. Bye.